Hello, today I'm going to show you the in-depth technique of how to shoot video with a shallow depth of field in a S24 Ultra. In a previous video, I had shown how you can activate the DOF adapter function in the native camera app of the S24 Ultra. I showed you the settings in the camera assistant, how you have to switch it on and then use manual focus. In this detailed video, I'm going to take it a little further. I'm going to show you how to get shallow depth of field video using the native camera app of the S24 Ultra. So this is my setup. This is my S24 Ultra mounted on a tripod. I will be attaching the DOF adapter and the lenses over the central lens of this phone. I'm going to show you some recorded footage of the background behind. I have adjusted the camera settings on this phone and I'm going to show you some recording of native camera function here. You can see that this phone is recording and it is recording background video without a depth of field. When a subject comes in front of this camera, then I will activate the camera assistant function and get the shallow depth of field. So now you're seeing video recorded without the shallow depth of field in the S24 Ultra. I'm using the wide lens, Pro Video mode, UHD 60 frames per second, and these are the parameters. ISO is 50, speed is 1/5000, manual focus, and white balance is set correctly. So in the first instance, I'm going to record depth of field video in the native camera app. So the steps are, now this tripod has been mounted, and if the cameraman can kindly focus on the ground, tilted. So you can see this line here, which is running parallel to the French door, and this phone, this is the plane of the DOF adapter. So the subject will stand 5 feet away from this plane and will come to that side. So this is the plane of the camera, and I've got a measuring tape. I've already measured the distance from here. This is the plane. This is 5 feet, which comes on the third tile here. The third tile. The subject will be standing here, and there will be a big separation between the subject standing here and this. So I have already measured it. This measurement is required so that you can set the actual distance in the DOF adapter after having set the aperture. So for shallow depth of field, the lens which I have got, the highest aperture which it has, which is 7 artisan lens, is f2. So I'll be using the f2 and I'll be able to get a shallow depth of field, and the distance for that is 5 feet on the 7 artisan lens. The next step is to set the parameters of the camera. You can see that the background is blown out, so I have to reduce the ISO is to be reduced. ISO is reduced now, and you can see the trees. The sky is overexposed, so I'll now probably keep the ISO here, and then the shutter speed, ISO is around 120, shutter speed is 500, and this exposure, so this exposure is sufficient. The next step is to attach this DOF adapter and the manual focus lens, this whole attachment here. This is the Fotorgear DOF adapter, and this is the 7 artisans manual focus full frame lens. So on this lens, I'm going to set the aperture to 2 and set the distance to 5 feet against the central focus lens, which is 2, and the distance here is set to 5 feet, and the aperture is f2, and I should be able to get manual depth of field now. So now I'm recording some sample footage with the subject behind in front of the camera. Now the subject is here, and you can see that the subject is in focus. You can see that the subject is in focus. Also the background behind her is also in focus. On this lens, on this camera, you'll be able to appreciate it better. And now when I place this DOF adapter, these trees behind her will be blurred out, whereas she will be in focus, because she will be in focus and the trees behind her will be out of focus. Camera recording is started, and now I am going to open up the settings on this camera function, and here in this phone I will go to the camera assistant function. Here in camera assistant function, DOF adapter function, turn it on. Now you can see from the screen recording of this phone that the subject has been turned upside down. Exposure is okay, background is a bit overexposed, so I'll bring down the exposure, shutter speed up, and now I'm going to attach this DOF adapter. And get the manual focus. Yeah, so background is, you can see the trees behind her. They're all blurred out. Yeah, now the subject is in focus, the background is blurred. That was blurry background video shot against the backdrop of these trees with the DOF adapter in the native camera app of the S24 Ultra. So I've shown you the actual technique of setting up the phone, measuring the distance between the subject and the DOF adapter, and setting the aperture in the DOF adapter to the correct one, and then setting the distance based on that aperture, the actual distance between the plane of the DOF adapter and the subject. Suppose it is 5 feet, you set it to 5 feet for the aperture of 2. Whatever aperture that is, you have to match the distance to that particular aperture, and you have these markings on the manual focus lens. I showed you that there is a close-up. So that's the trick of getting shallow depth of field, the nitty-gritty of it. Hope you liked that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel AK to see more videos like these when they are uploaded. I'll see you in another video. Cheers.